युहन्तः प्रविश्यमवाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं यं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञाभक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चापि वृता नित्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहं सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। 40 शुद्धे शुद्धजलं जले विनिहितं शुद्धं यथा जायते ब्रह्मात्मैक्यविवेकमेव भवति ब्रह्मेति निस्संशयम्। एतस्यास्ति परात्मनः किल पुरम् एकादशद्वारकम् नित्यज्ञानसुखात्मनो मनघः ध्यात्वा भयोमुच्यते। हंसोऽयं दिवि भास्करोऽम्बरतरे वायुश्च वेद्यां शुचिः सोमो वा कलशे गृहे सदतिथिः संवर्तते ब्राह्मणः। मर्त्यस्वर्गरताः वाम्बरगतः वार्जावनीजात्मकः यज्ञाङ्गो गिरिजात्मकः सममयः सत्यस्वभावो महान्। ऊर्ध्वं प्राणमयं नयत्यपि तथा पानं क्षिपत्यप्यधः मध्ये तिष्ठति सेव्यमेनमखिलाः तदोपासते। उत्क्रान्ते वपुषोऽत्र देहिनि परे नोशिष्यते किञ्चन प्राणापानवशान्न जीवति जनः जीवत्यतो सुश्रुतात्। मूढाः केचन शुक्रबीजसहिताः योनिं भजन्ते तनोः स्वीकाराय यथा श्रुतं कृतमनुष्ठानुत्वमन्ये पुनः। सुप्ते देवगणे येष पुरुषो जागर्ति कामान् सृजन् यत्रेदं भुवनं श्रुतं तममृतं शुक्रं बृहद्वेत्तु कः। एकोऽग्निः प्रतिरूपवान् बहिरभूत् लोकं प्रविष्टो यथा रूपं रूपमथानिलश्च भगवान् सर्वान्तरात्मा तथा। सूर्यो लोकविलोचनं नयनगैः दोषैर्नलिप्तो यथा सर्वात्मा पुरुषश्च लोकशमलैः एको न लिप्तस्तथा। So in the previous class, we completed the longest discussion. You see here, the longest discussion that we had on verse 44. So verse 44, as I said, is basically summary of 3 mantras, 8 to 11. We also saw that there is a fantastic statement which was made by Bhagavad Pada at the introduction of the 8th mantra. Now the next 2 mantras that we are going to see today 12 and 13 of the 5th Valli is paraphrased by Rāmarāya in verse 45. So I will read the verse first, then we will go to this mantra also. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha. Sarvantaratma vashi. Sarvantaratma vashi. Sarvantaratma vashi. Svatmanam bahudha karoti. Svatmanam bahudha karoti. Svatmanam bahudha karoti. Bhuvanākārena māyāvasāt. Bhuvanākārena māyāvasāt. Bhuvanākārena māyāvasāt. Brahmadya. There seems to be something wrong.
Brahmadyakhila chetane.
There, some other sheet I was looking into, there is something wrong. Brahmadyakhila chetane psitakaraha. Brahmadyakhila chetane psitakaraha. Brahmadyakhila chetane psitakaraha. Nityasvabuddhau sthitam. Nityasvabuddhau sthitam. Nityasvabuddhau sthitam. There is a typo. Buddho, it is buddhau. Ye pasyantyamamatrayanti taime. Ye pasyantyamamatrayanti taime. Ye pasyantyamamatrayanti taime. Shantim sukham netare. Shantim sukham netare. Shantim sukham netare. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagas sarvantaratma vashi. Svatmanam bahudha karoti. Bhuvanākārena māyāvasāt. So the first half of this verse essentially captures the content of 12th mantra. The 12th and the 13th mantra together convey some idea. Therefore, Ramarāya has basically put the ideas together. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha sarvantaratma vashi. Here we do not find words which are very difficult. But the idea that has been conveyed is so profound that I will take you through the Bhashya also a little later. How the phrases that have been presented in the mantra have been beautifully illustrated by Bhagavad Padacharya with specific interpretations of those terms. So literally, Ekoyam Parameshvaraha. So Parameshvara is all alone. Sakalagaha, he is there everywhere. Sarvantaratma, he is residing in every being. Vashi. Vashi. What is Vashi? Vashi is a very interesting phrase. I will elaborate on that little later. We normally use this word Kamavashangataha. You see, Vasha generally is used to refer to something which has been controlling us. Kamavashangataha Purushaha. Suppose you say, Kama has overpowered this person. He has come under the spell of Kama. Now, Vashi, this looks like Dhani. Right? So, Vashi. So, we will come to that. So, here we should understand this in a specific manner. And Bhagavad Pada has also done a nice interpretation in his commentary. We will come to that in a moment. But we can take it as a word which is inipratyaya. So inipratyaya is madhubartha. Tadasyasmin asti. Means the ability to control is with him. So you can just take it to it that way. Vashi, the one who puts everything under his control. So that is what is sort of intended here. Vashi svatmanam bahudha karoti. Svatmanam bahudha karoti means he makes himself into many. Svatmanam bahudha karoti. When this should be understood at the beginning of Srishti. So when we think of a state, Atmaiva idameva agre asit. That is what Shruti says. Sadeva somme idam agre asit. So then there was only one. Therefore we can understand the word ekaha. But then here he says Svatmanam bahudha karoti. So that one entity becomes many. In what form? Bhuvanakarena. In the form of various worlds. So in the form of various worlds, that one entity manifests itself at a given point of time. Katham mayavashat. So this is what he basically says. Now before getting into the later part, I will take you to the mantra which has been paraphrased here by Ramarāyakavi. So if you have the Upanishad text, so you may take the mantra 12 of the 5th volume. Eko vashi sarvabhutantaratma. Eko vashi sarvabhutantaratma. Ekam rupam bahudhayah karoti. Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhīrāha. Tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. Tesham sukham. So this aspect has been brought by Ramarāya in the 4th quarter of this verse. Ime shantim sukham netare. The second mantra, the 13th mantra that we have, also has more or less similar phrase, and therefore he has sort of clubbed it together. So here we see Eko vashi sarvabhutantaratma ekam rupam bahudhayah karoti. Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhīrāha. Tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. The next mantra is Nityo nityanam chetanaschedhananam. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kamat. Kaman tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhīrāha. You see the same phrase. So in the previous mantra we have Tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. Here Tesham shanti shashvati netaresham. The two mantras so powerfully convey the same idea. The idea has to be reiterated, and therefore the mantra more or less repeats the same phrase. Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti. So that is where lies the crux. So for them, shantihi shashvati, sukham shashvatam. So that is what the mantra promises. What does it convey? Eko vashi sarvabhutantaratma. So this mantra is completely chandobadha. Eko vashi sarvabhutantaratma ekam rupam bahudhayah karoti. Ekaha is the phrase that has been used. The same phrase has been borrowed by Ramarāya also. At the beginning of the verse, he uses the word Ekaha, Ekoyam Parameshvaraha. The word Ekaha is to be understood in two different ways. We have Ekaha, normally there is only one. That is what we understand. So this one number can be understood from a variety of perspectives. One is Atmaivedamekameva Atma Ekaeva Agre Asi. So there only one was there. So in order to indicate that primordial state, this Ekaha has been used. But Bhuvanani today you see. So therefore that Ekaha has become Bahu. In order to convey that, one starts with Ekaha. The other thing is, Ekaha can also be used to refer to Nirupamaha, one who is completely unparalleled. So in that sense also, Ekaha, he is one who stands alone. So it is in that sense also, you will see that a chaya of this has been given by Bhagavad-pada in his commentary. Ekaha. Ekaha means Advitiya, he is unparalleled. So for that also one can use the word Ekaha. And the third meaning is, see, Ekaha means there is absolutely no one who can have any kind of control over him, complete swatantriya. Okay. So for that also one can use the word Ekaha. Okay. If you are alone, in your house, you can keep things as you like, nobody will question you. So Ekaha, Swatantraha, Nirupamaha. So in order to convey various ideas, Ekaha is used. Now let me take you to the Bhashya, Bhagavad-pada, commences his commentary, Kincha. How is the connection established between the previous thing and this thing? We have to first of all understand. In the previous mantra, we saw Susuryo yatha sarvalokasya chakshuhu nalipyate chakshushairvahya doshaihi ekastatha sarvabhutantaratma. More or less the same idea has been conveyed here. So what is so special that is to be conveyed here from what has been conveyed earlier? So Kincha, he starts, moreover, is what he says. In the previous mantra we had detailed discussion as to how the Sankhya philosophy etc. has been katakshita. So we saw that in the commentary in great detail. Now here when we see Bhagavad-pada starts, see, due to upadhi you have this multiplicity form etc. was what was conveyed in the previous mantra. Now here he starts, Sahi Parameshwaraha Sarvagataha Swatantraha Ekaha. Later that you see Natat Samo Bhyadhikova Asti. Natat Samascha Bhyadhikascha. This is there in another Upanishad. So he is just lifting that idea and then says Tat Samaha Abhyadhikova Nasti. What does it mean? Abhyadhikaha means someone who can supersede him in any way. Adhikaha. Okay. Natat Samaha Abhyadhikova Asti. In order to convey that, Ekaha. So Saha Parameshwaraha Sarvagataha. See, from the viewpoint of Sarvagatatvam also, there is no one who can parallel him. The Swatantriya that he possesses, so no one can parallel him. So Natat Samosti Abhyadhikova Asti. Next phrase is important. Then he says Vashi. What does Vashi mean? Vashi Sarvam hi asya jagat vashe vartate. So this is what he says. So you can find several passages. So in various other Upanishads as well as here earlier also. See, Yataschodeti suryaha astanyatra cha gacchati. We saw that, right? Tandeva sarve arpitaha. Yatascha udeti suryaha astanyatra cha gacchati means anything that has been functioning on its own, which we call as nature, right? As physicists, why is this moving around? It is nature. It is in its nature, we say. So here we say that it has been designed that way. Okay? And sarvam hi asya jagat vashe vartate. See? Asya vashe vartate. asya vashe bhishasmad vatah pavate bhishodeti suryaha bhishasmad agnischendrascha mrutyurdhavati panchamayiti. So this is how Taittiriya Upanishad describes. So here he is trying to say sarvam hi asya jagat vashe. Sarvam jagat. Not only this, the way things are functioning here, but every other world also. Sarvam hi asya jagat vashe vartate. But then this kind of a interpretation that we find here, given by Bhagavad Pada, is a little tricky from the viewpoint of Vyakarana Shastra. So here when I said dhani, how do you understand that? That is all. Do you have Saptami there?
Saptami is also possible. Usually we don't think.
Yeah, usually we don't have. See, from the Kosha viewpoint, we will have dhanam asya asti iti dhani. So now, how will you say, if you were to interpret it that way? Vashaha asya asti iti vashi. Right? This is how you have to say. Dhanam asya asti iti. Similarly, Vashaha asya asti iti vashi. This is how we will say. So what do we understand by the term Vashaha? If you look at this dhatu, there is a dhatu called Vasha. So I was just interested in finding out. So this Saptami, it was a little difficult. So therefore I was just thinking. So Vashaha asya asti iti vashi, suppose you say. So dhanam asya asti iti dhani. Right? This Matubhartha basically is what we want to bring in. Right? Matubhartha. So this Vashaha asya asti iti, suppose you say, so Vasha Kantau is what is stated. Kanti means here Ichha. Icharthe. No. Okay. Of course. So these two are connected, right? Wherever there is a Saundarya, there will be Ichha. So that will be there. So as I have told you, so this always Karana Karyavachaka Shabda, they will be connected. Now here when we see Vashaha asti iti vashi, suppose you say, how will you understand? Vashaha means Ichha, Kamaha, suppose you say. So then we may have to understand, so this Ichha that he has is Amogha Ichha. Amogha Ichha means all of us have Ichha. But that Ichha does not fructify most of the time. Right? So that is why we have the word Moghasha, Mogha Karmanaha. Moghasha means he has Asha, but it doesn't fructify. See, therefore Moghasha. There are various connotations what can give that. So here, when we think of this primordial entity, Chetana Rupa, so what we want to convey is, his Ichha is Amogha Ichha Yasya. So Tadasya Asti. So even if you think of in the Taittiriya Upanishad, what did it say? So we have Atmana Akasha Sambhutaha. So it thought of creating, right? That is how it comes, right? Akashad Vayu Tadaikshata Bahusyam Prajayeti. So that Aikshata, you also think, I want this to happen, that to happen. So nothing happens. So here this Vashi is used. So in that context, it may be useful for us to understand the senses in which this Matu Pratyaya is used. There is an interesting verse. So you repeat the verse. See. Bhumaninda prashamsasu. Inda prashamsasu. Bhumaninda prashamsasu. Nityayoge tishayane. Nityayoge tishayane. Nityayoge tishayane. Samsargesti vivakshayam. Samsargesti vivakshayam. Samsargesti vivakshayam. bhavanti matubādayaha, bhavanti matubādayaha, bhavanti matubādayaha. This matu pratyaya it starts, and then there are several pratyayas which have been listed by Panini in this sense. Matubādayaha means, so the suffixes starting with matu have been employed in a variety of these senses which are listed here. Okay, this is there in Mahabhashya itself. Repeat the verse. Bhumaninda prashamsasu,
Bhumaninda prashamsasu,
Bhumaninda prashamsasu, Nityayoge tishayane, Nityayoge tishayane, Nityayoge tishayane, Samsarge sti vivakshayam,
Samsarge
sti vivakshayam, Samsarge sti vivakshayam, Bhavanti matubādayaha, Bhavanti matubādayaha, Bhavanti matubādayaha, matubādayaha. So there are 6 senses which have been listed here. So if you recall, so we were earlier long back, so when we thought of this nany, so then also some 6 were listed. So similarly you find 6 listed here. Okay, in what senses this nany can be used. Similarly here, in what senses this matub can be used. So bhumaninda, bhuma is something which refers to entity in abundance. So we have this phrase, no? Bhuma vai sukham, nalpe sukham asti. In fact, there is a sutra, Bhuma samprasadadhyupadeshat, Brahma Sutra. So here, Bhuma is one sense. Something which is present in abundance, when you want to describe, you will say this matubādayaha. So when you say buddhiman, then will you say alpa buddhi is there for everybody. So buddhiman, dhanavan, etc. Matubādayaha, when it is found in abundance. Atishayana is another sense, abundance is another sense, which is excelling. Okay. So bhuma is one sense in which you will find here. Then this could be rare usage, but I think it is good to know now. Ninda, when will you use? This nindayam, see, there is a usage, I'll tell you. So that has to be understood only from the context, whether it is prasamsa or ninda. Okay. So suppose you say dhani, so that is a different thing. So similarly, here we find this usage, see, udarini kanya. Suppose you say udarini kanya. So anudara kanya is a description. Understand? Anudara kanya is, so there without udara does not mean. Understand? Swalparthe, alparthe nahi. Anudara kanya, when you want to describe, small, not seen. Udarini, when you say, it is too big. Understand? So that the intention of that, see, that it possesses is one thing. Intention is ninda. So it is in that sense they will give this example. Okay. Udarini. Say too much. It is in that sense. Okay. It is an ninda. Anyway, so here the word, so this is something which is interesting to know. So therefore I thought we will just teach the verse in this context. So here you can think of this ini pratyaya used in several senses here. Okay. Bhumni, atishayane, nityayoge. So there are various senses. So this ini pratyaya after vasha is vashi. So here our Bhashyakara has sort of paraphrased. So if you want to, there may be some instances where one finds this saptami to be used, but here even without this saptami, okay, so anushasanaru rupam we can, this is an anushasana that we find in Vyakarana, right? So anushasanaru rupam we can derive this vashi also here. Okay, Vashahasya asti. So there we have to understand Amogha Vashaha. That is what? Amogha Ichha Yasya. Tadaikshata Bahusyam Prajayeti. So immediately it became. Okay, Amogha in that sense. Vashi Sarvam Hi Asya Jagatu Vashe Vartate Kutaha. So here you see this mantra employs words and one by one has been taken by Bhagavad-pada, and he sort of tries to imply here that the previous one implies the later one. So if you think of this Ekaha, okay, then Vashi, he was only one person and then he just, so therefore you can see that it is completely under his Vasha. Right? You created, everything is there under your Vasha. So, Sarvam hi asya Vashe vartate. Now we have, he is the Upadana Karana. Nothing else was there. So, therefore, this implies Sarvabhutantaratma. Eko Vashi Sarvabhutantaratma. So, he sort of pervaded in all things. Okay? Sarvesham Bhutanam Antaratma Sarvabhutantaratma. So the other important thing that we need to know here is Sarvabhutantaratma. So because he is the Karana Rupa, right? And here this Eka, when he used, so there is a certain implied meaning. We have this verse, I read. Ekante sukhamasyatam paratare chetas samadhiyatam. Sadhana Panchaka we have. Now this ekante sukhamasyatam, suppose you say, so this ekante, so when you are alone, that is the state that we are referring to, right? Ekante sukhamasyatam. So which essentially means you are not under Paratantra. When you go alone, so if you are in a circle, then you have to oblige to that circle. But if you are not into that circle, then Sukhamasyatam. Okay. So the reason I am saying this is, so towards this end of the verse, it finally says this mantra, Tesham Sukham Shashvatam Netaresham. There are a few factors which sort of contribute towards this. And here I am trying to bring this attention to your attention because this Paratantra always leads to Dukkha. We have to understand this. And Swatantriam always leads to Sukha. The way Bhagavad-pada right at the beginning, so he states Swatantraha Ekaha. So this Paratantriam is Dukkha. The second aspect that you have to understand, why this Ekaha, Ekante Sukham, even there the prescription given by Bhagavad-pada in the Sopana Panchakam is because the moment you think of someone else, so then this Utkarsha Bhava will come. This Parotkarsha. Okay? And then what happens is Parotkarsha Asahishnutvam will also happen. See, and thereby you will be landing into trouble. Okay? So this Ekaha, so in this context he is using from different viewpoints. So the reason I am saying this is all these factors actually contribute. Okay? So in fact there is an interesting avatarika which has been given by Anandagiri. So in his commentary, so he says Parotkarsha Darshanam Paratantrincha Swasya Heenatvam Dukha Karanam Prasiddham. Okay, this is something which is well known in the world. Okay? Parotkarsha Darshanam. It may be there, you need not see. but there is a tendency to see. Right? Parotkarsha darshanam and paratantriyam cha swasya heenatvam dukkha karanam prasiddham. Then why is he bringing this? Tadabhavat na paramatma dukhi. He is saying, so paramatma means this atmanaha paratvam avagantavya. That is all it is. So paramatma means anyatra vartate iti. Atmanaha paratvam. Okay. So this upadhi has to be segregated. Then this atma is paraha. Okay. So tadabhavat paramatma nadukhi. So this is how he brings in as an avatarika to this. That is why Bhagavad Pada right at the beginning, Parameshwaraha sarvakataha swatantraha ekaha natatsamaha abhidiko va anyo asti vashi sarvam hi asya vashe jagat vartate kutaha sarvabhutantaratma. The sarvabhutantaratma essentially means one who is driving being inside. So that is why even at the beginning when we chant this Mangala Shloka, Yontaf pravishya mama vacha mimam prasuptam sanjivayati akhila shakti dharaha swadhamna. So that is how we perceive this Atman to be, the Chetana Rupa which is residing. Yataha ekameva sat ekarasam atmanam vishuddha vijnana ghana rupam Namarupadya shuddhopadi bheda vashena bahudha aneka prakarena yaha karoti. So this, he says, ekameva satu. But then what happened? Vishuddha jnana ghana rupam. Right? That is how satyam jnanam anantam brahma. That is how we describe. But then it is not difficult for us to conceive of that even today from the viewpoint of science. There is one thing which completely manifests different kinds of properties the moment it turns into another thing. It's not a different thing, but there is a certain thing which happens. So Vishuddha Vijnana Ghana Rupam, okay, that is how it is. But then Nama Rupa Yashuddhopadi Bheda Vashena Ashuddha Upadhi Bheda Vashena. Okay, so once that happens, Bahudha Aneka Prakarena Yaha Karoti. So it just becomes so that one Ekam Rupam Bahudhayah Karoti. But then Bahudhayah Karoti Swatantrena Karoti. He says, Swatma satta matrena achintya shaktitvat. So, Swatma satta matrena, what does Bhagavad Pada want to convey here? It doesn't seek an external agency for this transformation. Achintya shaktitvat. So, that itself has the potential to transform into some other thing. Okay? So, achintya shaktitvat tat atmastham swasharira hridayakashe. Now he is saying the later half of the mantra. Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhiraha. Tam atmastham yenu pashyanti dhiraha. So, atmastham yenu pashyanti means you should not think of this entity to be present elsewhere. Tadrisham swatantram atmastham tadrisha shaktimat atmastham ye anupashyanti dhiraha. So how can you see this? Dhiraha. For that you have to be a dhira. Okay? So the dhira has been described here and elsewhere also. Tat means tadrisham atmatattvam swasharira hridayakashe buddhau chaitanyakarena abhivyaktam. Buddhau, see, Atmastham, one has to very clearly understand. It is not like Deshastha, Ghatastham, Jalam. It is not like that. It is not the Adharadeya Bhava which is meant here. Ghatastham Jalam means Ghataha Adhara Bhutaha Tasmin Vidyamana Padarthaha Adheyaha. It is not that Tam Atmastham when you say. So he is explaining that here. Sharira Hridayakashe Buddhau Chaitanyakarena Abhivyaktam. It is not something which is Adharadeya Bhava, but which is becoming evident there. So now he is saying Nahi Sharirasya Adharatvam Atmanaha. Okay. Akashavat Amurtatvat. Why not think of Adharadeya Bhava? It is an Amurta Padartha. It is not like Jala Padartha which can decide. Vibhu Padartha. Amurtatvat. Therefore, further he says, Adarshastham Mukhamiti Advat. This is just like that, you have to think. So, is there something which is actually there? No. Adarsha here means mirror. So, Adarshastham Mukham. It is not actually there, but it becomes evident there, right? So, similarly, so Buddhavu Prakashamana. So, that is how we have to understand this Atmastham. So, this Atma Shabda can mean several things. So, that is why he gives beautiful explanation for this. Adarshastham Mukhamiti Yadvat Tametam Ishwaram Atmanam. Now you see, Ye Nivritta Bahya Vrittayaha Anupashyanti. Tam Atmastham Ye Anupashyanti. So, Ke Pashyanti Nivritta Bahya Vrittayaha. How do you understand this phrase? Nivritta Bahya Vrittihi Yeshante. So, Bahya Vrittihi means complete engagement with the external world. Bahya Vritti. Vrittihi means Vartanam. Vartanam essentially. So, Buddhi, Vritti is engaging with the worldly things all the time. Bahya Padartheshu means Vrittihi. So, Nivritta Bahya Vrittayaha means, so those who can turn themselves inside to understand and appreciate this kind of Atma Rupa and not totally engage with the world all the time. Nivritta Bahya Vrittayaha Anupashyanti. This word Anupashyanti, he further beautifully explains. Acharyagamopadesham anusakshat anubhavanti. Anupashyati means, so anu means follows, right? Kim anu? So therefore he says Acharya agamopadesham anu. Okay. So after that they pashyanti sakshat dhiraha vivekinaha Tesham Parameshwara Bhutanam Shashvatam Nityam Sukham. So Tesham Nityam Sukham. And this Nityam Sukham Kidisham Atmananda Lakshanam Bhavati. Atmananda Lakshanam, not Vishayananda Lakshanam. So Tesham Sukham. Normally we only know of Vishayananda Lakshanam Sukham. Lakshanam means Swarupam. Atmananda Lakshanam Bhavati Netaresham. So the mantra puts both positively and negatively. Tamatmastham yenu pashyanti dhiraha tesham sukham shashvatam netaresham. So netaresham means itaresham shashvatam na bhavati. Ashashvatam yes, but shashvatam no. Bahyasakta buddhinam avivekinam svatma bhutamapi. So this sukha is actually svatma bhuta sukha, na tu vishayendriya janya sukha. Okay? So this Atma Bhuta, if the Swarupa of this Atma is Ananda, why not seen? Therefore he says, Avidya Vyavadhanatu. So this Avidya Vyavadhanam means shielded by Avidya. So it is essentially removal of the shield which is done by Acharya Agamopadesha. Therefore he is saying, Acharya Agamopadesha Manu E Pashyanti. There also what happens is, so Tatkalika Nivritti will happen, but once again it will get shielded. So we have to keep on repeatedly removing this layer. So it just gets formed, remove, just gets formed, remove. So it is just like, so you keep this, so you keep on wiping the table. So leave for 1 week, once again dust will come. Once again you have to wipe. So leave it, wipe. So it is for this, we just keep saying, Sangasatsu Vidhiyatam. So then once again we can keep on refreshing these ideas. So that is the idea. So this is what is being conveyed. So let me come back to Rāmarāya's verse. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha. Ekoyam parameshvaras sakalagaha. Sarvantaratma vashi svatmanam bahudha karoti bhuvanakarena mayavashat. So I will take you to the commentary. There are 2 paragraphs in the commentary, as you can see. The first para pertains to the first half of the verse, and the second para pertains to the second half of the verse. And therefore, we will just take the commentary and read the first para. So Vyakhyanam commences with an avatarika here. Nanu atmanaha idam upadhijatam kena kartra kena upadanena srishtam ata aha ekaiti. So how does he try to connect Ramarāya between the previous verse and this verse? The previous verse was primarily conveying that it is through the upadhi that you find. In fact, it is in this context only I was giving this Anumana of the Anandagiri, right? So we were discussing how the Hetva Bhasa and so on and so forth. So it is the upadhi which actually makes this division. That was what was stated. Now he is asking this question, Atmanaha idam upadhi jatam. So you explained previously that through the upadhis that you find the multiplicity. Now tell me, how did the upadhis themselves come into existence? That is the question. Nanu atmanaha idam upadhi jatam kena kartra kena upadanena srishtam. So this is all fine. So you can say, I have a big mud block, right? Clay block. Now this clay block has been turned into several clay pots. So one turned into many, I have an example. But then one turning into many, there is a Katha. That is why he is asking this question. Kena kartra, kena upadanena. What is the upadana and what is the agent? Kena kartra kena upadanena srishtam ataha ekaiti. So that example will not work. There is a potter, there is a clay, and therefore there is a pot. So pot is the upadhi that has been created because of various pots, various phases. That is fine. But then there is a pot, there are several pots, upadana, karta. Similarly, do we find something here with reference to bahudhayah karoti? Ekam rupam bahudha yah karoti. That is what the mantra says. Therefore he is asking this question. For that he says, Sakalagaha sarvavyapi atayeva sarvantaratma vashi. Sakalagaha sarvavyapi. So Sakalagaha Gachati Gaha. So it essentially means Sarvavyapitva. Gachati does not mean, the word Gaha should not be understood as the physical motion. Purva desha viyoga sahrita uttara desha sanyoga anukulo vyaparaha gamanam. So that is not meant here. So Sakalagaha Ka should be understood as Vyapitvam. Therefore he is explaining Sarvavyapi Atayeva Sarvantaratma. Once you accept the Sarvavyapitvam, then Sarvantaratvam, Sarvantaryamitvam, see, that is there. Then he says Vashi. Vashi. So here he has taken it as Swatantraha. Swatantraha. Parameshwaraha ayam eka eva. But then Mayavashat Svatmanam Bhuvanakarena Bahudha Karoti. Mayavashat Bhuvanakarena Bahudha Karoti. Bhuvanakarena Bahudha Karoti. Kada Karoti? Whenever the srishti has to take place. So there is a certain cycle, and this cycle, so Bhuvanakarena Bahudha Karoti Mayavachinna Chaitanya Lakshanaha Saha Atmaiva Jagataha Upadanam Nimittancha. So this phrase is a little tricky phrase which I will not explain right now. I mean, if it needs an explanation, then one has to go a little deeper. So you just take Mayavachinna Chaitanya Swarupaha. So this is how one has to understand this Atma. So this is Chidrupa, but then how did this Chidrupa get transformed into Murta Rupa, Padartha Rupa? So therefore he says Mayavachinna Chaitanya Lakshanasya Lakshanaha. So that is the true nature, Saha Atmaiva, that itself Jagataha Upadanam Nimittancha. So there is no other entity which you need to think of. So certain things transform on their own, you will see. Okay. How do they transform? We have absolutely no clue, no idea. Even you just take this some plant, if you just carefully observe, how did this small flower turn into such a beautiful mango fruit? Where did the sweetness come from? How did the water enter into the coconut? So certain things, if you just think, it's all really mysterious. So here similarly, when we think of one entity transformed into the other entity, particularly when we go to the origins of the universe, it is all extremely difficult. So we have hardly any answers to them. So therefore we say we have the word Anirvachaniyam. So Anirvachaniyam is an interesting phrase that they use. Atmaiva Jagataha Upadanam Nimittancha. Upadana and Nimitta is one and the same. Atayeva Asya Sarva Jagat Vyapakatvam Sarvantaratmatvancha. Sarva Jagat Vyapakatvam Sarvantaratmatvancha. Sarva Jagat Vyapakatvam Sarvantaratmatvancha. Karanam hi, now he explains finally, Karanam hi svakaryam sarvam vyaptya vartate. This is an interesting nyaya. So the Karana is always going with Karya. Karanam hi svakaryam sarvam vyaptya vartate. Karanam suvarnam, Karyam Suvarna Nirmita Padarthaha, Abharanani. So Karyam Sarvam Vyapya Karanam Vartate. So it resides in that. Okay. Then Tadantaratma Bhutancha Bhavati. Tadantaratma Bhutancha Bhavati. So when it comes to this Chaitanya Rupa, so with reference to Jada Padartha, Achetana Padartha, we think of in one particular way. So with reference to Chetana Padarthaha, so there is a Chaitanya which actually drives all this Jada Padartha into action. So here we need to consider both. So therefore he is just saying two things. Okay. Sarva Vyapitvam, Sarvantaratvam. So Antaratvam is where you find some action. So you always think of a certain force which is behind. And it is this force which is behind which sets all the Jada Padarthas into action, that we call as Atman. So with reference to Chetanas. So that is what he is trying to say here. Then in the next thing, I will just read the second half and we will take the explanation later. He says, Brahmadya kila chetana chetanipsitakaraha nityasvabuddhau svabuddhutyam nityasvabuddhau sthitam ye pashyantyamumatra yanti taime shantim sukham netare. So this has to do with, the third quarter has to do with Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Yeko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. So there it requires some explanation. So here he is paraphrasing it as Yeko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. Vidadhati Kaman Vidadhati. So therefore Ramaraya says Chetanepsitakaraha. Ipsitakaraha means one who makes things happen as per desire. Understand? So ipsitam karayati ipsitakaraha. Okay? Ipsita is something which is desired. Yo vidadhati kaman. So there again some interesting explanations are required which are presented both in the Bhagavad Pada Bhashya as well as Ramaraya. He brings in some questions and then answers. Brahma, so Chet Ipsitakaraha Nityam Swabuddhau Sthitam. So that is where the punch is, as I was telling. Atmastham Yenu Pashyanti Desham Shantihi. See, Sukham, not for others. So we will stop here and then we can take up this later. Okay? Desham Shanti Shashvati Neta Desham. That is how the mantra is. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhanaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavidrishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Sarve Psakinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om